Economics AS level, variant 11, May-June 2024. The requirement for an A is 24 out of 30. A worker earns $40 per hour. Rather than work, she decides to visit a museum for 3 hours. The visit costs a total of 40. 3 hours and her cost of 40. So in this case, she chose to go to the museum instead of work, right? And in that, she sacrificed 3 hours that would have paid her $40 each. So it is 120. The reason it's not 160 is because it doesn't match with definition of opportunity cost. The second best alternative that's sacrificed for the first choice. And that's why this does not work. Just because she spent 40 doesn't mean you add it on as a cost that she spent. No, it's because she chose the museum over the potential $120 she would have made. Nature of typical car assembly plant has changed. She has fewer firms, operates on larger sites, and has more automated machinery. So capital increases, enterprise decreases, and land, due to larger sites, land has increased. And when there is more automated machinery, right, there's also a fall in labor because they're replaced by machines. So answer is D, because it matches up with thing on top. Which item would be least likely to be classified as land? Land is counted as natural resources. So what here is a natural resource? Automatically coal and forests are natural resources. So it's down to fertilizers and fisheries, which can be confusing. But fisheries are reliant on fish. Fisheries are not some sort of plantation where they just spawn fish out or harvest. No, fisheries are dependent on the harvest of fish. That's why fisheries are dependent on natural resources. So count that out. While fertilizers are man-made, therefore are not natural, and the answer is A. Why does the concept of scarcity apply to the use of fossil fuels? Anytime there's concept of scarcity, it's automatically due to the concept where there is not enough supply to meet the demand, which is unlimited. So it is B. The others are just unrelated to the concept of scarcity. An economist knows the current point at which an economy operates within its PPC curve. What can the economist conclude about this economy? So PPC curve, right? If we draw it out, let's say this is good X, good Y. Self-sufficiency is unrelated. Competitiveness is unrelated as well. Rate of economic growth unrelated as well. It's the output of two goods. We're comparing output of good X and good Y. Comparing these points, how they vary. An increase in which factor is likely to cause a shift to the left of the demand curve for cinema movies. Let me draw the curve from D1 to D2. Decrease in demand. Expenses for the heating system in the cinema. Well, that is an increase of cost of production, decrease in supply. That does not affect demand. Payments charged by movie script writers. Well, that's on the movie itself, not directly to cinema. So this is wrong. Cost of transports in cinema. Yes, this will decrease demand because it's more expensive for the consumer to access the cinema. Taxes on the incomes of cinema operators. Well, in the case where the tax does cause the cinema operators to increase the price to maintain their profits, that more likely just causes constriction from point 1 to 2, as seen here. But that is if they do increase the price, which is not a guarantee. Either way, it will cause a constriction and not a shift. 4 firms supply the market. Market supplies 50 units at $20 and 100 at 40. Table shows the market share of each firm at the two prices. Which firm does not have a normal upward sloping supply curve? Supply curve is like this. Okay. At $20, it's 50 and 100 at 40. So let's just calculate. 10% market share of 50 is 5. And 10% 100 is 10. So as you can see, there's an increase. So say the price is 20 here, 40. You can see the increase 5 to 10. That's why A is wrong. 20%. Okay. 20% of 50 is 10. And 50% of 100 is, well, like 50. B is wrong. Bring 10 to 50. Thirty of 30% of 20, that's 60. Wait, okay. Right. 30 times 50. 15 and 20 times 100. That's 20, yes. So it's upward sloping. So automatically it's D, but I'm just going to calculate it either way. 40% of 20, that's it's 8. 20%. 100 is there appears to be a mistake. So 40% of 50 is 20, and 20% of 100 is 20. So it doesn't make sense for it to be 20. It will not be upward sloping. So answer is D. Which statement is correct? Demand for an inferior good has positive relationship to income. This is wrong. Because demand for inferior good will increase when incomes fall. So it's an inverse relationship or negative. Okay. Negative relationship to income and a negative relationship to price. Yes, this is correct. Because the concept here is the same. Your demand for the inferior good will rise when income or price falls. Let's see why C and D are wrong. demand for normal good has a negative relationship with income. This is wrong. Okay, so let's take our normal good. Normal good has the normal demand graph, where it looks something like this. Price. So when price does rise, demand falls. That's why in both cases positive relationship price is wrong. Question 9. The value that consumers gain from consuming a good over and above the value. Wrong. Because of this is talking about opportunity costs. This has nothing to do with that. The difference between the actual revenue received by firms for good and the profit maximizing revenue. No, this is wrong as well. The value that consumers gain from consuming a good over and above the price paid. This looks correct. Difference between the price received by firms for a good or service and the price at which they would have been prepared to supply that good. Yes, I think B is correct. Let's check the others first. The value that consumers gain from consuming a good over, okay, this is the same. This profit maximizing revenue thing is wrong. C is wrong. The value that consumers gain from consuming a good, this is wrong as well. So it appears that B is the most correct one, due to them just matching up with the basic definition of both consumer and producer surplus. Because they're using next best alternative in consumer surplus, which doesn't make sense. And the term profit maximizing revenue is just wrong, because it's more of the producer surplus, right? The producer is ready to supply at maybe like $10, but here they can supply at 50. The producer surplus is actually like the area between the price that the producer is willing to supply at and the one that they currently are supplying at. So this is why B is correct. A firm calculates the income elasticity of demand for its product is -3. Okay. So this appears to be an inferior good, if I'm correct. So economic growth, well, incomes will increase in economic growth. So A is wrong, because demand will fall for the inferior good. Well, B is the opposite. Incomes fall, so the demand rises. Demand rises, more are sold. So B is correct. It has few substitutes. Both C and D refer to XED, which is a different concept, so it's wrong. The diagram shows the demand and supply curves for the global air cargo market. Initial equilibrium at X, global recession and increasing fuel costs, fall in supply and demand, pretty explanatory. S1 goes to S2 and D1 to D2. So should give you the answer of D. Government gives free food to poor households in community. So it should be a normal good. Now let's rule out the wrong answers. Free good is air. something that is unlimited resource. Food is not unlimited. Public good, non-excludable and non-rivalrous. Those are the characteristics. So it is excludable since it's only for poor households. Be strong. Demerit goods have negative externalities. This does not, which is why C is wrong. A government wishes to raise the incomes of farmers without raising the price of food to consumers. What policy should it use? The maximum price will raise incomes, but it raises the price of food. So that's wrong. Minimum price is the opposite. It reduces incomes of farmers but it reduces the income of farmers, so it's wrong, but it doesn't raise the price of food. Payment of subsidy to farmers to produce food. They can produce more. Cost of production falls. More supply. So yeah, that will decrease the price if you draw a supply diagram. Yeah, so price of food does not rise while they are able to sell more since they have more supply. Incomes will rise. Use of government food stocks onto the market, buffer stock scheme. This will reduce incomes of farmers, so D is wrong. Governments in market economies give different reasons for intervening in the operation of an economy. Note this statement once again is opinion. So let's see, this is actually a very tricky question. Average incomes. Okay. Let's just rule out the ones with percentages because they are correct. Just by looking. It's between A and C. Average incomes have failed to keep pace with price rises during the past year. Distribution of incomes have become more unfair during the past year. Well, with CPI and the fact that you can find the average income, if CPI does double, where cost of living doubles, and then incomes does not double, you can tell that it's not keeping pace. This is wrong. C is correct. Distribution of incomes have become more unfair during the past year. The reason why C itself is wrong is due to the term unfair. It is hard to say what is actually fair. If they use the term inequality, it will be different. This is a trick question. Because with inequality, you can see the difference between the rich and poor. But fair, a rich person may work more and be more rich. But does that make it unfair or fair? While inequality, you could just say, yes, income is unequally distributed. But the word unfair is what gives off, what is the telltale sign that C is wrong. What is the equilibrium's real output? So this is a calculation question. Let's calculate it. So right, we want to, this kind of relates with circular flow of income, where basically what money is going into your economy. So that will be expenditure, investments, both are forms of expenditure, and exports, because it's a gain of money, it's an injection. Import, it's a leakage. So we are gonna add the ones with ticks and minus the imports. So let's go. Real output is 270. A is wrong. Real output is 270 once again. Our real output for C is 300, so C is correct. But let's just double check with D. 330. D is wrong. Country's net national income is less than its gross national income. So talking about the net national income, there is the inclusion of depreciation and appreciation. So D is correct. Let's break down why the rest are wrong. C doesn't make sense because exports will be considered in both. So for why B is wrong, because inflation relates to nominal. So B is wrong. Incomes earned overseas were less than incomes overseas. This relates more to flow of income. But it's wrong either way, because either way your earnings that come in and the ones that go out will be equal for both NNI and GNI, if I'm not mistaken. But for all you need to know for this question is NNI takes account of depreciation and appreciation, while GNI does not. NNI is just GNI with depreciation or appreciation. Asha is currently unemployed. She has been offered a job but decided to decline offer to search for a better paid job. This is fictional, because fictional refers to the period where your laborer is in that time period where she's in between transferring jobs. That is fictional. Structural can refer to the collapse of an entire market. Like if all schools were replaced by robots and AIs, teachers would face structural unemployment. That's an example. Seasonal. This isn't seasonal, because seasonal refers to something like your ski resort closing and the workers there don't have a job because it closed during the summer. That's seasonal. Cyclical is during recessions, such as pandemics, that will cause cyclical. But this is not. A major trading nation, country X, is in equilibrium at the full employment level of real output. Then there is then a recession in its main international markets. What are the most likely consequences of this country change from country X? Well, due to the recession, people will be buying less. So you have less exports. The fall in exports, according to the formula, C plus I plus G plus X minus M equal AD. This fall will cause AD to fall. So rate of inflation will decrease. Your unemployment also decreases since less people are demanding for your exports. You don't need your thing at full unemployment. So firms will lay off workers. Why B is also wrong. Why would a fall in the country's average price level cause its AD curve to slope downwards? Okay, so let's compare these 2 points, P1, P2. So basically, why does the decrease in price increase AD? That's what it's asking. Fall in price does not necessarily lead to interest rates, and it's unrelated. Reduces real value of money. No, that's not, because fall in real value of money is inflation. This is not inflation. It makes the country's goods cheaper relative to foreign goods. Yes, your increase in AD is due to fall in price. Demand increases due to the fall in price. This correlates with downward sloping curve. D is unrelated. To counter deflation, central bank uses expansionary monetary policy. What is likely to result? Expansionary monetary policy is rise in money supply and fall in interest rate. So high cost of borrowing is wrong. Increase in AD is correct, because goal of expansionary policies are always to increase AD. Appreciation of the exchange rate caused by rise of interest rate, which is wrong. An increase in government debt. No, because increase in government debt is caused by expansionary fiscal, not monetary. Which statement about government budget surpluses and deficits is the most accurate? Surplus implies that the balance of payments is in surplus. Well, not necessarily, because you could have other components that are in surplus. Your balance of payments can still be in a deficit. A surplus implies that government spending too much money. No, because government still has leftover money. Deficit implies that the economy is in decline. No, because in expansionary fiscal policy, AD is increasing, can lead to economic growth. While your deficit is increasing. So that's why C is wrong. Deficit implies that the national debt is increasing. It's correct. You can be borrowing more money from banks and buying more materials. You will owe more. So that's why D is correct. What is most likely to decrease if the government uses expansionary fiscal policy? Expansionary fiscal policy is more government spending and a reduction in tax. So once again, your deficit will increase. It will worsen. That's why A is wrong. We'll go along with the logic from the prior question. Cyclical unemployment is actually caused by lack of AD. So when expansionary policies all increase AD, you will counter cyclical unemployment. Oh yes, B is the answer. Because when you increase AD, you counter cyclical unemployment. Yeah, B is correct. Level of wages. No, in economic growth, wages are likely to rise. And with inflation, wages need to rise to keep up with that. AD can cause demand pull inflation. That's why D is wrong. Sweden had a change in its CPI of negative 0.6. So basically, what decreased the inflation? That is what the question is asking. Increase in interest rates. Okay, this works. Increase in tax. I did not fully read the question. Which combination of policies might the government use to restore price stability? So prices have fallen. You want them to rise again. Basically, you want to stimulate AD to increase. Also, when your demand rises, say like this, price will rise. That's why you want AD to increase. So A is wrong because this decreases AD, increase interest rates, and reduce government spending. This reduces AD. Reduce government spending and increase income tax. This also decreases AD. So D is the only logical choice because this is the only choice that increases AD. What is the disadvantage of operating a floating exchange rate system? So, okay. Let's rule out some of the more easily wrong answers. Continuous government intervention, no. In floating exchange rate system, there is lack of government intervention. Same with C, there's no need for government intervention, no need for currency reserves. So it's down to A and B. Okay, so in a floating exchange rate system, when the government isn't keeping tabs on the exchange rate, it just leaves it there. They have more focus towards domestic economy policy aims because they're not prioritizing managing the exchange rate. They can just let it flow and do other stuff. Disadvantage, okay? It makes prices of internationally traded goods less predictable, yes, because it's fluctuating. You're not keeping it in check at a certain level. That's why it's less predictable compared to a fixed exchange rate system where, let's say, wood will always be $5 no matter what. Could be 5, next day 10, the next day, well, the day after the next day it could be 4. That's why it can be less predictable. On fixed, so it's the same, and floating can change. What is not an example of protectionism? Export subsidy. Well, protectionism refers to making your firms more competitive, more price competitive. So let's see which do that. Export subsidy, increased supply due to fall in cost of production will lead to fall in price. Yes. No. Yeah, it's a form of protectionism. Import subsidies do not, because they make other goods more price competitive relative to yours. It makes your personal competitiveness fall. B is wrong. B is correct. Quotas, decreased supply of imports can increase the price. Yes, C is wrong. Tariffs, tax, increase price. So A, C, and D all increase your exporters' protection competitiveness. That's why they are all protectionism. X and Y both produce goods M and N. They decide to specialize and trade freely in the goods. Under which conditions are the gains from specialization and free trade likely to be smallest? Oh, this is actually a very tricky question. The smallest. So, referring to smallest, right? The mobilities of factors of production between goods M and M are high is automatically wrong. So A and B are wrong. So it's now down to C and D. Usually most people will choose D, but the answer is in fact C. Let me try to explain. So when your mobility of factors of production between goods M and M are low, this limits the ability for specialization in the country, in between the goods. Because when they're low, it makes it really hard to specialize. And when you do specialize in one, it's hard to go between M and N. That's why the gain is not as high as if it was high. To specialize in one and quickly specialize in another, you could gain both benefits. But in low, you are forced to choose between one. So now why is it that mobility of factor between production between countries X and Y are high? Because when it's high, right, you can easily transfer your factors of production from other goods. There's not much purpose to really specialize, and there's not much to gain because you can already transfer it easily. So when you specialize and have free trade, it doesn't really affect it that much because you can already get it. While in low, it'll give you more benefits because it's hard to get. You specialize and are able to produce more and trade more freely to get what you want. That's why the gain from low in mobility of factors between countries is larger. Terms of trade for a country have increased from 100 to 120. This means purchasing power of exports has increased. Terms of trade have deteriorated is wrong. It's actually improved. Yes, 2 relates to the increase in purchasing power of exports. Balance of payment is actually likely to worsen because people will buy more imports and you will sell out less exports. So it's D. Table shows the number of Turkish lira which can be exchanged for $1, which is the most likely cause for change in price of Turkish lira between 2016 and 2021. So sustained fall in the demand for Turkish imports, right? Now A is wrong because, okay, let's explain the term Turkish imports. Basically, imports going to Turkey are being reduced. It's not that basically the US, it's not that the US is going to buy less Turkish products. It's actually Turkey is going to buy less imports. So that reduces demand for foreign currency, which will cause the appreciation of Turkish lira. This is not appreciation. This is fall in value. Sustained fall in government debt as a percentage of GDP. No, this will improve balance. Sustained rise in Turkish interest rate. Increased interest rates cause appreciation. So this is not appreciation. Inflation. Inflation is fall in purchasing power of your currency. So as you can see, with 2.83 lira, it could have bought $1. But now 8.15 for $1. There's a clear fall in purchasing power. D is the correct answer. Table shows current account balance of payments for January 2021. What is the current account balance? Okay. Exports positive, imports negative. Credits positive, debits negative, primary income same thing. And this balance is positive because it's from your secondary income. It's the leftover money after the calculation. So after typing everything in, you will get wait a minute, I think there's okay, yes, it's correct. Go along with these calculations, you will get the correct answer. Which policy would not be an argument for the use of import tariffs? Raising revenue. This is correct, and it's actually positive, so why would you not use it? Because why raises revenue is tax revenue. Tariffs is a form of tax. Put it on an inelastic good, you will just feed the government more money. Improve balance of payments. Yes, tariffs can do that, and it's positive. They improve nations' terms of trade in bilateral agreement. This is also good. May lead to retaliation. This is the only bad answer. A bad choice. Because you don't want to have other trading partners put tariffs on your own exports. Because this will hurt your economy.